Hi everyone, welcome back live today. And today we have Suhail Mathur with us, who is a literary agent and an award winning author. And you can ask him all that you want to ask about books, how to get published. So I hope you're ready with your questions because I have a lot of questions to ask. And the book bakers has joined us. Let's send him away. And he should be with us soon. Which is your favorite book, people? You have to tell me and Suhail. We really want to know your favorite books and the books that you all are reading while quarantine. Let's. There we are, sending my request. Hi, Akash. Kure. Hi, Suhail.
Hi Shweta, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Is there any way we can go in another format because you're in the landscape and I'm like in the vertical format. So is there any
Just have
possibility?
to hold the phone maybe. I'll just have to hold the phone then. Or let me try.
Oh, perfect.
Is this okay? Is this okay?
Perfect.
Yeah.
This is
I can
completely
I can still
perfect.
I can still see myself in the landscape mode. So I think my
That's okay. We can see you perfectly. So that's completely
I
fine.
think the frame and all is fine. Because I can't see myself. I can see you.
It's okay. We can see you, and we are all excited to have you on our live session because we have
Likewise,
so many
likewise.
questions to ask you.
Sure. Pleasure's all mine, yeah.
So before we begin,
Yeah.
23rd is a very important date in your life. Like we saw, the post you put, and I'm so happy that your first live is with me on this date, which is like a landmark date for you.
Absolutely.
So for our viewers, if you could highlight them, what is all about 23rd May?
23rd May, by a quirk of fate, always happens to be a day where the media happens to be very kind to me in some form or the other. And, one of the longest television interviews I did when I was in school, we'd gone to this channel DD Bharti, where, they used to call students from schools and they used to have discussions on various topics. So that happened on 23rd May when I was in the 8th standard, way back in 2002. And then again, next year, Hindustan Times did an article on me, which again happened on 23rd May, which was the following year in 2003 when I was in the ninth. And now again, uh, you know, uh, I've got an opportunity to interact and be on a social media platform, which happens to be 23rd. And as you rightly mentioned, the first Insta Live. So what better
Yeah.
day to did that?
So when I read your post and I was like, okay, it's your first Insta Live, I was like, okay, this is amazing because we set a landmark date on a landmark thing. So nothing better than that.
Certainly.
So, Suhail, since there's so much that I can talk about you. You are like multi-talented. You have passion for cricket. You yourself have written books, award-winning books, and you have the book Bakers Club. Like that's something that we all want to write, but we always get stuck. Like, what do we do after writing? Where do we
Sure.
go? How do we get published? And half the time, we writers don't even start writing or expressing ourselves because the whole thought of where to go with your write up or with your thoughts is something that majority people are clueless, and there comes a magician like you, the literary agents who help us and motivate us to write further, and at least there's some ray of hope. So how did the book bakers happen?
So yeah, there's a very interesting story behind it actually. So I'd written my first book, The Bhairav Putras, which is a historical adventure saga set in pre-independent India. And I was still in final year at law school when I was writing that book. So the book released, it did very well, and I was invited to a lot of literary festivals. And what I realized at that point of time after attending those festivals was, and of course interacting with authors on social media, was that there weren't too many opportunities for young authors or first time authors. Now, when you say young authors or first time authors, it could include either someone who's writing a book for the first time or someone, who's young and is writing a book. Because, our youngest author happens to be this 13-year-old girl from Pakistan who's written very interesting detective fiction, which is being published by Rupa Publications and will be out sometime in this year. Whereas another of our debuting authors, our oldest debuting author happened to be this gentleman, Hemendranath Verma, who debuted at the age of 75. And
Wow.
he wrote a book about his experiences in Allahabad, and Bloomsbury brought that out. So of course, when you talk about young or first-time writers, there's a huge scope. So what I realized was that there weren't enough opportunities for such authors. Basically, what the market or the literary agents rather were catering to were, you know, celebrities who were now writing books. So it was that much easier for them, to get a book deal in place. So the reason and the idea behind starting the Book Bakers was to give new writers an opportunity, and I'm very happy that in 6 years we have worked on more than 635 books. We've
Wow.
got all these authors publishing deals, and yeah, it feels really nice. And yeah, of course, during the course we have signed up with best-selling authors and cricketers and politicians and actors. But I'll tell you a very funny thing. Some time back somebody asked me, suggested that so now that you're working with so many celebrities, why don't you just focus on them, because it's much easier to get a book deal if you're working with a celeb.
Absolutely.
And I told them that if I started doing that and only doing that, then the very reason I started my literary agency, that reason would get negated, because the idea was to help first time authors predominantly. So while we are looking at celebrating any and every form of literature, bringing out newer voices is something that we pay more attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you just mentioned, the difference of the audience of the writers, like a 13-year-old from Pakistan and a 75-year-old. So it just motivates all my viewers, and they are absolutely going on. I'm sure they all have a ray of hope that, you can write at any age. You really don't have to wait to finish your graduation. If you have a thought, you can at least try writing it. And you just mentioned like 6 years, 635 books. Like, oh my God, that's like amazing. Like
Yeah,
a
so
really nice number.
when I did my first book, I was the youngest, Indian author to debut with historical fiction. And but since then the benchmark has just increased, whereas the age has decreased. So to say, the other day what happened was, there's an author of mine, and he was having a chat with me, and he said, Suhail, something. I said, what? I'm just 18 years old. So do you generally find authors this young working with you? And I said, bro, it's fantastic that you're writing a book at this age, and definitely it's an achievement. But probably if you would have asked me this question 4 years back, I would have been extremely impressed. But the point is that now people even younger than you are writing.
All right.
So,
Absolutely.
the benchmark has really changed. Yeah.
So, how did you think of writing your first book, the award-winning book, The Pair of Putras? Like, how did it happen?
Sure. So, basically, ever since I was a young boy, history and mythology, Indian history, Indian mythology fascinated me a lot. So, I knew that if I was ever going to write a book, it would definitely be on, these two themes. So, and when I was in college, I used to always find, books written by these, pass outs from IITs and IIMs writing books. The market was flooded. And being the proud law student that I was, I just thought that it was high time that someone from the legal fraternity also wrote a book. So yeah, so when I started off, I wanted to write something about a dark god, a god that not too many people know about, so that I could use that to my advantage while creating a plot, so that people could get to know while I was writing. So that's when I took Lord Bhairav, and that's how the title the Bhairav Putras came into place. I also happen to worship a very cute childlike form of his called Batuk Bhairav, so that was
Okay.
another motivation. But yeah, so the book is predominantly set in 1936 in a fictional town called Bhairavgarh, where Lord Bhairav is the main deity. And what happens is that in 1936 the British come and set up their cantonment area. And slowly what happens is events take place that shock, unease, and violates the sentiments of the local townsfolk. And one man, a protagonist, Keshav, and he's not the usual revolutionary type. He's the Oxford-educated son of a rich zamindar, friends with the British. He
Okay.
realizes, whatever is happening is not right, and he then gets a group of men to plan the unthinkable, a revolution, not just by force, but also through wit and intellect, because he knows that it's very difficult to defeat the British purely by might. At the same time, there's a parallel track of a long forgotten book written during the times of Emperor Ashok that has the
Okay.
answers to the secret of the present day and age. So, how both these tracks converge is what the book is about. Yeah.
Wow, that's like a really deep thing. And where is this book available right now? Because while quarantine, a lot of people have been reading more and they've
Yeah.
given into more of reading. So obviously they can't go to bookstores right now. But where can they purchase this book
Yeah, so
right
both
now?
my books, the Bhair of Putras and The Hunt for Rama's Bow, are available on Amazon, and both of them are available as ebooks also. So you can just type Suhail Mathur, and that's Suhail Mathur on Amazon. I think you'll find the results over there.
And there is also a Kindle version of it, right?
There's
Or
also Kindle version. Yes, yes, yes.
okay. So all viewers who have been asking where is this book available, I hope you all have got your answers after our live chat. Please go on Amazon and order these books, read and tag us and let us know how you liked it. I have loved the story. I think I'm going to start reading this book right now, today itself. Like I'm super excited to read both of them
Thanks.
because I myself love
Yeah.
mythology and I'm a big fan when it comes to mythological fiction, especially the Indian mythological fiction.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, the second book that I did, The Hunt for Rama's Bow, there's a more interesting story behind it. What happened was that, I was at a literary festival
okay,
and somebody said that, people know about, or the youngsters today know about the Avengers. But when it comes to our mythology, probably they may not be as aware. So I
true.
actually took it as a challenge, how to make our mythology cool. So the Hunt for Rama's Bow is basically the first part of the Vishnu Chronicles series. So it's set in 2020. Set in
Okay.
2020, and the protagonist is a student from Delhi University. And what happens is that he receives cryptic letters from his grandmother, someone
Okay.
he has no recollection of. All right. And then what happens is that he goes and meets this gentleman, and something happens that brings him face to face with a legendary horror, someone who's been blessed with the boon of immortality by Lord Shiva himself. And the only and there's a princess that needs to be rescued from his clutches. The only way that can be done is when you find one of Lord Vishnu's avatars, fabled weapons. That's Lord Ram's Bhuta. So there are different tasks that they need to complete in order to find the fabled weapon, and only then can they do so. So the plot is actually set around 3 months. So it's a three-book
Wow.
series set in October, November, and December. So there's a prophecy that the world will end on 31st December 2020. And what happens is that every natural calamity that happens is an indication of the Asuras winning over the Devas. The only way that they can be stopped is when the three greatest weapons of Lord Vishnu are found, which is Rama's bow, Krishna's chakra, and Parshuram's axe, are
Wow.
combined together, which will give way to a new weapon and can stop the Asurs. So the first part's called The Hunt for Rama's Bow, which has been out. The next two in the work are called, In Search for the Sudarshan, and the third one's called In Pursuit of the Parshu. So that's the series basically.
So when are the other two? When can we expect the other two to
Yeah,
be
very
out?
good question. That's a good question. Actually, the storyline for books is ready, has been ready since a while. But, because of the agency work that one is doing, it generally takes a lot of your time over there. But as you've yourself written a book, the beauty of writing a book is that there should not be any deadline hovering on your head. You should get
Absolutely.
when it comes to you when you feel like, only then will the product become more interesting. And a very important point that I wanted to share, and I think you are a perfect example of the same. So just like I was discussing about books that I did, which were based on history and mythology, because it interested me. You've done a book, yourself, which is centered around the film industry, because that is something that you know very well. So, you must also tell people about it. And before you do that, I just want to tell everyone that, it's very important to write something that you personally are well versed with. Because
True.
just because a romance fiction is doing well and you're not interested in it, even if you write the book, sure, probably the initial sales will be there where your friends and family purchase the book. But in the longer run, it'll not help because when you do your second book, your third book, your qualities or capabilities as a writer would have been exposed. It's very important that you do something which is something you have a strong. So why don't you also tell everyone what your book is about? Because I thought it was very interesting.
So yeah, Filmy Chick is all about, like you said, it's right from my heart about a girl who takes positivity from movies. So like everyone goes through, like either they read the Granth or the Bible, and they usually, whenever they have a problem, they take positivity from there and get back to a positive outlook. But in Filmy Chick, the girl goes through movies and takes the whole attitude of hers is like, if something wrong is happening, she'll go and she'll watch a movie, and from that movie, she takes positivity and she makes anything negative around her into positive, and that's what the whole world is like. She psychofilmizes life, like that's all about
That's
film
very
music.
interesting. It's very
And
interesting. I don't think there has been a book which is like this. It's a self help within the realm of a fiction.
But
So
like
very
you just
strange.
said, it has to come from within. Like you loved mythology. So when you wrote, it was like, okay, this is what exactly it is. And, when I met you, so I kind of wrote my first book, and then I went through a lot of trouble publishing it. Like a point comes when you don't want to even publish it because, like you said, if you're a celebrity, it's a very different outlook that people have. And when you're a first time writer, from the whole process is more annoying. And when I met you, I realized that it is not as difficult as it seems to be, because there might be a bigger fish out there who it's very easy to give. But when I met you, I realized that I had to take you out to people to make them realize that, hello, there is the book bakers and there are publishers and literary agents who are giving chance to newcomers if your book is right. So how does it feel that, when people come up to you with a book, how do you, I'm sure you can reflect whether they've written it with heart or, it's just a compilation of everything. So how do you go about differentiating whether this book is good to publish, or like, how do you go about it?
Fair enough. So Shweta, I have a very simple in life that either a book is good enough to publish in its present shape, or if a book is not good enough to publish in its present shape, then you work towards it and make it good enough to publish it. What invariably happens is that a lot of people have, narrated incidents and anecdotes to me where they say that, they sent out the book to XYZ and someone gave a rather rude feedback to them. And what that invariably does is that it demoralizes the writer. So you don't want, first time writers or youngsters to get demoralized. It's
Absolutely.
completely understandable that they may not know the nuances because it's a new and fresh industry for them. Right? So the idea is to handhold and guide them. So if a book comes out where I feel that there's a very interesting concept, I would certainly like to take it up. If I feel that the ingredients are there but it's not altogether aligned, maybe then in that space we help them get everything intact and then send it out to publishers, because it's not only something that we do, but it's also something that is expected of literary agents. Because why publishing houses now? Another thing is that publishing houses generally take 3 to 6 months to read a book from the time it's been submitted to them, and you know what happens is that these guys receive so many scripts that maybe sometimes 3 or 6 months pass and they are unable to read that particular script because they're inundated with manuscript. So what happens is that a book may be rejected without even being read. So
Okay.
when we send it out, we don't send it to the editorial or the submission ID as a normal author. I mean, I know these people personally, so I send it out on their personal IDs. So how that helps is that A, the response time is faster, and B, whatever is the response, at least we know that it is based on merit. So it's a fair evaluation. So when publishers are giving that kind of importance to the work of a literary agent, it's very important that the work that you're sending to them is in a proper manner. Otherwise, what will happen is that 2 3 books down the line, if they're not in the right order, publishers will not give that much importance, to any submission that we make further. But they'll be of the opinion
Absolutely.
that, he sends anything and everything, but that would impact my other authors, which we don't want. So we take every submission very seriously and see to it that everything is in order. Yeah.
Okay, so like we were talking about submissions and also how can one connect with the book bakers and submit their books, or meet you and decide like how to go about? What is the procedure like?
Sure. Sure. So you can always connect with Shweta, and Shweta can connect to me. That's one way of going about it. The other way is that you can always send out, 2 sample chapters, a synopsis, and an author bio, along with the word count of the book at
Okay.
thebookbakers@gmail.com. That's our email ID. THE BOOK thebookbakers@gmail.com. And we'll be happy to help. It's very simple.
So everyone, y'all can follow Suhail Mathur and DM him, or the book bakers on Instagram, DM him. And besides that, you can always mail it to him on the bookbakers@gmail.com, right?
Yeah.
So you can email there, and good luck with everyone, because I would like everyone to write, and at least if you think it's worth it, go through your chapters again, and if you think it's worth it, then do connect with him, and he will definitely either guide you how to write it better or will guide you to publish the book.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a question for you.
Actually, but
Sorry?
just one thing that I wanted to say. You mentioned over here a very important thing, that if you feel that the book is in a good shape, please send it out to Suhail. What happens is sometimes authors, while they're interacting with me, youngsters ask that, sir, do you think my book is good enough? Should I publish it? And what I tell them is that, listen, whenever you're doing any creative work, be it books, be it movies, be it music, in a creative field, it is absolutely impossible to get 100% acceptance or 100% rejection.
I
Right?
totally agree on that as an
Even
artist.
if you've made Sholay, there would probably be 90 people who will say that it's great, but 10 may differ, and maybe Ram Gopal Verma's Aag is liked by 15 people. So the thing is that there'll never be 100% yes or a no to
Yes.
anything. So how do you gauge whether the majority is liking it or not? By bringing the product out in the market. If you don't bring it out, you'll never get to know whether they would like it or not. So bring it out. If they like it, then yes, you're on the right path. In case they do not, use it as constructive criticism, and then you can always better it with your next book. So it's always a learning process.
So everyone, I hope you've got the learning process, because I have learned this thing that do not put yourselves down with creative criticism. Every destruction leads to construction. So then you can write more, write better. So if you have something that is worth your time, give it a thought, write it down, and you know whom to approach right now. And so, hey, we have a lot of questions for you coming in, and there is somebody asking, okay, hi, the Wall Doshi, hi, Jeet Chaudhary, I'm glad you see the videos. Thank you so much. So there is, there's Varsha asking, are there any unknown facts about the mythological stories in the Rama book that, she must have not read? So is it a combination of facts and all?
Absolutely. There are. I'll just give a short teaser, and then maybe she can order the book. So what I'd like to suggest is that generally, people discuss that Lord Ram was from India and Ravan was from Lanka, right? That's the general perception. But forget the two being from different countries. The two were from the same state. So Lord Ram was from Ayodhya, which is in UP. Ravan's father was a sage called Vishrav, on whose name there was a village called Bisrak, which is today found in present-day Greater Noida. So Ravan was actually from Greater Noida.
Okay.
Kuber was the ruler of Lanka. Ravan defeated Kuber and then became the king of Lanka. So he wasn't originally from Lanka. He was from Greater Noida. In fact, his wife Mandodari was from present-day Meerut. And if you went to Rajasthan, you'd find this place called Ravan Ka Tila, which is believed to have been the place where Ravan and Mandodari actually got married. So, there are a lot of anecdotes like these which are hidden in the book via clues and an interesting manner. So, yeah, anyone who's interested or would want to, please go ahead and take a look at the Hunt for Ram.
So I am quite excited to read about the Book of Ramas, and I'm already excited for the future book. So I hope, Suhail, you start writing during this quarantine. You spend some more time writing the
Are you
keys
able to
to a
see
book.
me? Are you
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to see
now
me?
I can see you. So for a second I couldn't see you, but now I can see you.
Oh,
So,
oh.
okay, Suhail, there's another question for you. Now during COVID, how has the book sales got affected? Like, you know, a lot of people are, I'm sure, getting more time to read. So, are the book sales affected, or are you all publishing? How's it going? Like, what is the whole thing that, how has COVID affected the book market?
So basically, the thing is that of course, it has taken a hit in different ways for different publishers. So probably for publishers who were giving an advance, probably they would be working a little more on royalty-based payments right now because they would want to see how the market is panning out. For certain publishers used to bring out books a little faster. They have increased the duration by which they would release a book, while there have actually also been a few publishers who have asked us to wait till such time that this entire virus is over and publishers resume work. Because what happens is that these guys already have a certain list of authors that they've signed up, and because they aren't able to publish the current lot, they don't want to have a backlog by getting more and more authors on the list. So that is what is happening with respect to sales. I think ebook sales have certainly jumped, but from a publisher's point of view, what happens is that an ebook sale never suffices or equalizes the sale in comparison to a paperback,
Okay.
because a paperback is something that a publisher invests in terms of printing and distributing, and Kindle version is just uploaded online. So what happens is that the pricing of a Kindle is much lesser than that of a paperback, right? So what happens is that if a book which is priced at 300 rupees is being sold for 100 rupees, sure, a sale might be happening, but the publisher will have to sell thrice the number of copies to earn the same amount. So from a publisher's point of view, it's a slightly tricky phase, but yeah, as far as authors are concerned, well, any sale is good. So yeah, that's pretty much how.
True. Anybody who's reading your book makes you happy. Who's got the book
Absolutely.
and is making you happy. So now, you know, it's the millennial age, and a lot of people are moving to like Kindle, like, you know, because of travel and all. What do you personally prefer? Do you like paperback or Kindle? Like, I'm a big fan of paperback even now. So, what is your preference?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I prefer, paperbacks too. In fact, the whole idea and the fun of holding your book is completely unparalleled. So I always tell people that you should always go in for a paperback. A Kindle or an e-version will always happen sooner or later. But sometimes, what happens is, Shweta, there are people who are very, what should I say? They are very excited to bring out the book at the earliest. So, they don't want to wait. And I've had experiences where, someone would say that, sir, मेरा ना एक महीने बाद birthday है तो मुझे birthday के दिन book release कर. Then he's just sent me the submission. Like the day he sent it to me is what, this gentleman said. So now, the thing is that obviously a book will not release within a month's time. It's like saying that,
Yeah,
you meet a
absolutely.
producer and say that, "Sir, I want to be the hero. My birthday is next month, so release the movie by then." So that's not going to happen. And it shouldn't, because you should get adequate time to promote your book before it releases, right? And it should go through an edit. The cover should be properly designed. So in which case, some authors do publish the Kindle version or an ebook version. And what happens is that, they send out queries to me later on that, sir, my book is done very well, as an ebook. So can you now bring it out as a paperback? What they don't realize is that, publishers do is that once the book is out there in the market, then the publisher is not very keen to, bring out the paperback. Because if a book is available for 100 rupees, as we discussed, why would they want to print the same book and sell it for 300 rupees? And that too, when
Absolutely.
already a certain chunk of people have read the book, right? So yeah, it's just something that they should be careful about, because at the end of the day, it's not about speed. For anyone who's reading the book will not know how much time it took to bring the book out, but what will be noticed is that, oh, the quality of the book is good, or oh, so and so is the publisher who brought the book out. So those are things that need to be kept in mind.
Okay, so Dr. Neelam is asking, so we should remove both the versions at the same time, be it ebook or the paperback. Like you suggest that they should be launched at the same time, right?
Yeah, they should ideally be launched at the same time by the publisher. Or what a lot of publishers are doing these days is that they're bringing out the paperback first and the ebooks come out, after a couple of months, so that the initial sales that needs to happens via the paperback, because as I said, that is where the publisher has invested.
Publishers, correct. Okay, there's Shuklaji underscore 1212 asking, is the market oversaturated with mythology? Do you think any other genre is replacing mythology now?
Sure. So, see, the beauty with mythology is that, we have so many gods and goddesses, and, every god and goddess has several stories of theirs. So, it's not just, if you're picking up Lord Vishnu, he has so many stories. So, it's not that if I have taken up a certain story, you cannot take it up. Mythology per se can be written in various ways. So, it could be a mythological retelling of a certain story. And we've had so many versions of the Mahabharata coming out from the point of view of different characters. So that is one way. The other way is like how I do it. I take mythology and make a fictional plot and intervene the two. And the third way also is that you could do something in the Dan Brown space where you make it a hunt for a mythological or a mythical object. So that's how it is. So the market for it is always there because sales are happening. I think non-fiction is doing really well these days. So if there is a genre that's ruling the roost, that would be non-fiction. And there are so many categories within non-fiction, like there are self-help books dealing with mind, body, and spirit, or leadership. Those books are doing very well. There are biographies and autobiographies which are ruling the roost. And one genre that's really doing well in non-fiction is true crime. So if there is a story about any police officer who solved a particular case and he's narrating that, or there was a crime that was committed and how the police eventually caught the criminal. Those kind of books are doing well, not only in terms of publishing, but also in terms of bagging a visual adaptation deal, because that's the market these days, and it gives real life stories have this inherent advantage that makes people sit up and take notice, because they do want to see something that has actually transpired and how it happened. So yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of books. Like, I'll just give you an example. We did this book called The Deadly Dozen, which was released by Penguin, and it's about 12 real life serial killers of India. And the book has done very well, and we've sold the book to the biggest, if not one of the biggest, platforms, OTT platforms in the country. And at the same time, there's another book that we did called Haunted, which has been written by this gentleman called Neil De Silva and Jay Alani. Now, Jay Alani happens to be one of India's foremost paranormal experts, right? So he's written about 10 of his greatest hauntings, or the cases that he saw. So, that's again in the true space zone, and the book rights for that have also been acquired. So, and then, just yesterday, I sold a book which was based on the Battle of Rezangla. So, the Battle of Rezangla took place in 1962 between India and China, where the Indian forces actually stopped the Chinese from taking over Leh Ladakh. So it's a very courageous story of how a small band of men eventually stopped the Chinese, because generally the notion is that the Chinese defeated India in that war. But this is one story where the Indian army actually stopped the Chinese from achieving what they had set out to. So these kind of books get sold very quickly, and at the same time we can get these books commissioned also. So which is to say that even before you finish writing the book, we can get you a publishing deal on it, because the publisher would know that okay, this is something which is very interesting and we'd love to take it up. So yeah, those kind of things do well. Biographies and autobiographies, we have done a lot of autobiographies. The last one we did, or at least one of the prominent ones that we did, was Mr. Sanjay Khan's autobiography, The Best Mistakes of My Life, which Penguin released and did very well. We're doing a book with lyricist Sameer Ji, which is on 50 of his greatest songs and the story behind how those 50 songs were made. So that's being brought out by Rupa Publications. And at the same time, there is this book that we're doing called The Kargil Girl. So now Kargil Girl is actually a movie which Dharma Productions is bringing out. I mean, it was supposed to release in March, but I think because of COVID, it may be releasing on an OTT platform right now. But what happened was that, so the Kargil Girl is based on Flight Lieutenant Gunjan Saxena, who was, at the forefront and the only lady fighter pilot during the Kargil War. So it's her story. Janvi Kapoor is playing that role. And, we had a contact with Miss Gunjan Saxena via one of my authors, Captain Nirvan Singh. And, she agreed to do the book. So, I sold that project actually just on the phone. I just narrated the concept to the publisher, and they said that yes, this is what we want to do. So, if the concept is interesting, then publishers would really jump at it. And non-fiction is ruling the roost.
Groove Queen Amy is saying she's totally seconding you, and she's saying it's quite interesting. So I'm sure after this lovely live chat, we're going to have a lot of people who are going to connect with you with their books and with the write-ups, and if not, they're at least going to get down to writing.
Yes.
Hi Ibrahim, SK Rahetali, Walaikum Assalam. Okay, so there is this one more person asking that now during COVID, there are a lot of, like, how OTT platform is being used. So a lot of people are releasing their the things digitally, like be it short film or the movies, whatever they're doing are getting released, which ideally would be released in theaters on Amazon and Netflix. So
Yeah.
during this COVID time, are you all coming up with some books just as ebook, because the author is like, I want to make the most of it during this time? So is that happening with you all quite often?
That's happening, but as I said, that's not something that I would personally
Yeah.
encourage, because then you're losing out on an opportunity to bring it out ever as a paperback, or at least diminishing your chances. So, I mean, I'll give you an example. So there's this author of mine who yesterday night messaged me, that, I have a collection of short stories, and can I just bring it out on Kindle? And, because a friend of mine is doing the same. And, this young author, wonderful young author, she's got a deal with a very major publisher. All right.
Oh,
One
and
of
still
the
she
top
wants to
three-
just come out with
one of
Kindle.
one of the top three publishing houses in the country, and for a first book. So what I told her was that, if you bring out that Kindle release, for all time's sake, that would be considered your debut book. So, the recognition that you would get, that as a debut author, you've cracked a deal with an A-list publisher, that will never come to the fore. And at this point in time, people don't know you. But when the A-list publisher brings out your book in the market, let people read your book. Let, there be a dedicated reader base for your book. And then you can do the same collection. Because the story is with you, right? It's not running away anywhere. And she agreed. She saw reason in it, and yeah, that's how you.
Yeah, because
if
it's
you
not
back
like
up
a
everything-
deadline that
Yeah.
she needs to come out today, and she would lose out on something. So rather, the wait is worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. But Shweta, it's been so long since you wrote your last book. So when can we expect a book from you?
I think you motivated me enough today. I won't be surprised that after our live chat, I open the laptop and I start getting to it. Though the last
Yeah,
time
you
we
should, you
met,
should.
you did motivate me, and I'm working on a couple of those things. They have been like, I've written almost one of the topics in my head. I just have to get disciplined enough to put it on paper.
Sure.
So-
But in fact, there were a couple of ideas that I also had, which I will discuss with you maybe after this call, after this live session. We can
So-
take it forward. But you are a part of a very, very successful play, right? Why don't you tell everyone a little about it? Why I'm saying it is that, because the play is so successful, would you be interested in maybe doing a book version of the same?
Oh, I would love to, because that's my goal. Is my first play. Obviously, I'm doing a second play too called Blind Date, but that's my goal. Is like the first, and like the first are always very special.
Absolutely.
And because I had Anand Mahadevan sir and Bharat Dabholkar sir, like the two strong pillars of theatre with me, the learning lessons I had every time I went on the stage, like I talk about it and I have glitter in my eyes. It's just magical. Like I just get, like, you can see the excitement. I don't even know what to
Correct.
say. The moment that's
Hmm.
my goal. So yeah, I think
So
that could
what-
be another
what
thing I
was
would
it
like
like?
to write on.
You should. So what was it like when you wrote your first book and the book released? What was the feeling like? And how would you differentiate between your first stage performance in comparison to the day your book was actually launched?
Actually, the best thing is when I wrote my book, Filmy Chick, it was another dream come true because it was something since college days that I wanted to do. Like when I did my master's in journalism, one of the things on my bucket list was to write a book, and Filmy Chick was one of them. And when it was happening, and the books come into sign just before your launch, while I was signing that every book, I was like, oh my god, this how better could it get? And then suddenly I had Anand sir saying, oh, I want to read a passage from your book. I said, are you sure? Like, you want to read something? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. And then suddenly Bharat sir goes like, I also want to read. And then I had my friend Gaurav Sharma who's an RG. He's like, I'm also going to read. And suddenly I had three of them on the stage reading a passage from, and they themselves from the filmy background.
Yes.
So I was like, is this a dream? Like I had to tell mom at Tidal Waves, I'm like, can somebody pinch me? Is this like a dream come true? And at Tidal Waves, they mentioned that it was one of the most selling books after Amitabh Bachchan's some book. This was another book that had maximum sales on Tidal Waves that particular day. And instead, I have a recording also from him. And I had everyone there supporting me, all my friends, everyone from the family. I still can't believe it's happened. It's been 2 years to Filmy Chick psycho-filmizing life, but I still feel like, oh my god, this already happened.
Yeah, it's just a magnificent feeling altogether.
And the same thing happened with my theatre when I was on the stage. I still can't believe I have done a show. Like we've done 30 shows and we've had like 29 standing ovations, and it still feels like a dream.
Superb, superb. Yeah, it's been running to packed houses. I think there's one more question which Shukla ji has asked.
Yes, I was just
What
getting
remains
on that.
to-
While publishing wise, you're saying ebooks is not sufficient for the book to succeed. However, the brick and mortar bookstores seem to be disappearing. How do you then reach the target readers?
Interesting. So, but it has a clear-cut answer. So the thing is that the whole idea about book being in a bookstore, so to say, is something that is good for massaging your ego, and it
Okay.
acts basically as a catalog for your book. Because even when you're talking about brick and mortar stores, uh, it's not necessarily while your book is available over there, it may not necessarily be that it's selling. So in fact, this is a conversation that I always have with my authors, that if you go to a bookstore and you find your book over there, is that more satisfying? Or if you go to a bookstore and someone says that, sir, your book is not there because it got sold out, is that more satisfying? Because clearly if the book is over there, you'll feel nice, you'll probably take a picture, but it means it hasn't sold.
Absolutely.
And if it's not there, then you can't take a pic, but at least the sales have happened. So those kind of things. But basically what happens is you'll go to a store, you'll see that a book is priced at say 250 rupees. You'll go on Amazon, see the same thing is priced at 175. So then you'll order it online, right at your doorstep, literally. So a majority of sales in any case happens on Amazon. People believe that offline sales in terms of bookstores would help, but data has shown that a large chunk of sales that actually happens online. So if your book is available online as a paperback, which means that if I order a copy and I receive it, that's the difference between what I want to mention over here is to the gentleman is the difference between an ebook online and a paperback online. So you can order a copy and it will reach you. So those kind of things are doing very well. So you should probably target that because the market is very conducive.
Okay, so there are a few people. Anmol, hello, Atif Aslam, hello Aman. I do have time for all the viewers, but it's just that I have just 1 hour and there's so many questions that are coming that I have to ask Suhail that we're not able to get back to you on time. So people, even if you all have any more questions, and though our live chat is going to end quickly, but if you have any more questions, you're always welcome to DM us and we will get back to you on all of it. As you know, Suhail is going to get back, I'm going to get back, the book bakers is going to get back, so you can always question us whatever you all want. And if we've not got back to anybody, it wasn't intentional, it was just that we were so caught up with the chats and answering the questions that we saw. Okay, Groove Queen Amy is agreeing with you totally. There is a huge audience who still prefer paper books to ebooks. and this is a discussion even she and her friends keep having. Hi, Kinita. So Kinita is also a nutritionist, and she's also come up with a book which is
Right.
totally on nutrition. So, what do you have to say about the fitness books and the nutrition books? How are they doing nowadays? Like, how's
They're
that
doing
gone?
very well. They're doing very well. As I said, self-help books in the mind, body, spirit space are doing well. So, this would fall under the body category, so to say, because it's about nutrition and, so anything that is on, say, nutrition or recipes or anything to do with, building your physique or figure, all those things are doing well. You've had Shilpa Shetty bring out her book on yoga. There was a very recent book called The Magic Weight
Yeah.
Loss Pill book that you could, did. So, the market for it is over there for sure. We did a very interesting book on, yoga asanas and the mythological stories behind those
Oh,
asanas.
wow.
So, that was brought out by Penguin, and we had, Pragya Bhatt, who's a yogini, who did that book along with Joel Kekla, who was the photographer on it. And Joel happens to be Kalki's father. So, Kalki Kekla's father. So, both of them had collaborated on the project. One took the photographs of Pragya, and the book did really well. So, it's called Beyond Asanas. So,
Beyond asanas.
the market for such kind of books is great, fantastic, and people want to learn more and more, how one can, lose weight effectively. What are the things that one should have, what are the diets one should follow. Market is terrific for it.
Superb. Okay, so before we sign out, there are a lot of questions. There are these quick rapid fire questions I'm going to ask you, and you have to come up really quickly with the answers. Okay, sorry.
Sure.
There's another question that I would like you to answer before we start our rapid fire. If there's a market for books on poetry,
The market for poetry books is, I would say, not very conducive these days in terms of sales, because poetry books aren't selling as much. But what happens is that there is a market for it, because see, again, the market for poetry books would largely be online, because poetry books are thinner in comparison to a fiction or a non-fiction book. So publishers are not very keen on putting them out in bookstores, because what happens is that they invariably get crushed or sandwiched between two books of, say, 300 pages each, right? So that is something that doesn't happen. But the good thing is that these books are available online, and they're not priced very highly, because
absolutely.
they're not very thick. So if you are able to see to it that yes, at least these many copies would be sold if the publisher signs you up and all those things are in order, then yeah, I mean, publishers would not mind. So it's very important that you find the right publisher for poetry books, because now not every publisher is doing a poetry book. I remember I'd pitched one poetry book of a very celebrated poet to a certain publishing house, who said that, Sohail, because poetry is not been selling, we are not acquiring poetry books. We only commission them, which is to say that, if they'd ask someone like a Gulzar or a Javed Akhtar or a Vishal Bhardwaj to do poetry collection, that's when they would be bringing it out. So in that particular case, they weren't even judging the book whether it was good or bad. They were just probably saying no to it because it fell under the poetry category. So it's very important to know who the publishers are who are bringing out poetry. So anyone who is interested in it, feel free to write to me, email at thebookbakers@gmail.com, and we will.
So, if by chance, like, they realize that they're new poets, but their poetry is worth it, do you think they should go ahead with an ebook? If this is
No,
the case?
paperbacks are selling. So,
Okay.
as I said, you get a publisher who's open to doing paperbacks for you. And then, we can take things off.
So, Amy, if you've written a book of poems, you can always contact them, and hope he's answered your question. Okay, Neelam is asking, how's the market for kids' book?
For kids book, yes, it's good. It's good. Again, it's a niche market in terms of publishers. So things move a little slowly in comparison to the usual fiction, non-fiction books. But YA fiction sells really well. YA fiction would be young adult, so the mystery of the missing something. Like, I'll give you an example. There's an author of ours, Shraddha, a very, very celebrated author, and she's done, Shraddha Sahi, she's done a couple of children's books. So she did a book, a very interesting book, she sent out to me about this girl who wants to buy a cycle for herself, and her dad says that if you do well in your exams, I'll fund a certain part of it. So she's been saving, and he eventually she does well, and her dad gives her 500 rupees, which is the deficit in from the amount. She goes to the shop, buys the cycle, and just when she's leaving, the shopkeeper stops her and says that, ma'am, the note that you've given, this 500 note, is actually counterfeit. So, her world comes crashing down and she's unable to buy the cycle. And what's happening is that in the city, she's reading about these cases of counterfeit currency. So, she sent out the book to me. And actually, what happens eventually is that the character, the protagonist's name is Chandni Ishwar Dayal. So her close friend tells her that, you must investigate because your initials amount to CID. So then the story is about how these two
Wow.
9th standard kids find out, bust the racket and all those things. So it's very interesting. So when she sent out the script to me, she had titled the book as Money Matters. So while Money Matters goes with the theme, I just told her that, if you were at a party and you told someone that I've written a book called Money Matters, people would think that it's a high profile, financial book. Right,
Absolutely.
but the genre would not be clear. So what we did was that we just tweaked it and we called it The Case of the Counterfeit Currency, a CID adventure. So that worked wonders, and a very major publisher took it up. The book has done phenomenally well, and now she's doing another very interesting book called Tanaji's Treasure, which is
Wow.
about the girl and how she helps Tanaji in her mission and in his mission. So it's very interesting. So there's a great market. In fact, the 13-year-old girl that I mentioned about, so she has also written a book which is on similar lines. So that ways.
Okay, so since we're short of time, I'm sorry, people, I can't answer all your questions. I cannot ask him all, but please
Hello.
feel free to DM him. But there's this last question that we'll just take. What's your writing process? What are the toughest and easiest parts of it?
Okay. So there is no hard and fast rule as to how you want to write a particular book. There are different authors who write in different ways. So I was at a function and there was this gentleman who had written a book. And he said that, Suhail, when I start writing a book, when I open my laptop, I have no clue what I'm going to write that day. So whatever comes to my mind, I write. And when I start the next day, I'm equally blank. It should come to me organically rather than, it being a process where I have to think beforehand. So that is one way of going about it. What I generally do is that I conceive a concept, and what I do is that, I make some 50 to 60 pointers, which would be included in the book. So what that essentially does is that reduces the chances of, me getting stuck in between or at a certain place in the book, because I already know that these are 60 things that I have to add in the book. And as you're writing, more and more subplots or other pointers would only increase. So then you're not facing a writer's block at any point of time. And you know that, okay, this is my starting, this is my middle, and this is my end. So you're working towards that objective. So I generally prefer to only start writing once I have my entire story in place, or at least the basic framework. So it just helps, to start. So then I can start at any point of time because the story is then in my head. I could just wake up from sleep, open my laptop and start typing because I know how the story is to progress. Yeah, so pretty much that is.
Okay, so since we're going to sign out, but before signing out, we'll have a quick rapid fire. Your
Sure.
favorite non-fiction author?
My favorite non-fiction author. There are a lot of non-fiction authors I like, but I'll make a special mention of 3-4 authors whose books I've read in the recent past, have had the opportunity to represent. So Nikhil Naz, he did a book called Miracle Men, which is the behind-the-scenes story of the 1983 World Cup win. That's a book that I'm very proud of. Then I did a book called 21 Kesaris, which is a non-fiction account of the actual Battle of Saragadi. So,
Okay.
the author was Captain Kiran and Nirvan. Actually went and met the family members of these soldiers, got their photographs, put everything over there. And, even the director of Kesari, Anurag, he gave an endorsement for that. So that's a book, again, that I'm very, proud of. And I've mentioned a couple of others also, like The Deadly Dozen and content.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those would be some of the books Anirban Bhattacharya.
Favorite biography you've read?
Favorite biography I've read? Uh, Maybe an autobiography. I think The Best Mistakes of My Life was a good book because of not only the writing style, but also because the protagonist, or Mr. Khan in this case, was open about a lot of things. So you have to be open. Only then the reader will be able to see it. But there's another book that's coming out which I'm very excited about. Is called Gunning for the Godman, and that has been co-authored by my father, Mr. Sanjeev Mathur, along with this gentleman called Ajay Lamba. Now, Ajay Lamba is the cop who actually interrogated and arrested Asaramba. So the story is about how he, made that arrest and how the process eventually followed. So it's called Gunning for the Godman. There's a very interesting book that we did recently, and we've got a phenomenal response for it. It's called The Barabanki Narcos by Alok Lal. So again, Mr. Lal was a police officer, and in the 1980s in UP, there was opium or basically drugs used to be smuggled out in religious idols. So how he, along with his team, solved that case, which happens to be one of the biggest and the most successful raids that the police has ever undertaken. In the absence of any internet, GPS, anything. So that's a very interesting story. So yeah, that would be my response to that.
Hi Karina, favorite fitness book that you've read? Or
Favorite
self-help?
fitness book. Favorite fitness book. I haven't read too many fitness books, yeah, to be honest.
Self-help?
Self-help. There's this book called Watch. It's called Watch Your Back by Dr. Shantanu Sharma. So he's actually a sports doctor, and he's done that. So I find that book very useful, because it caters to people across all age groups. When we sit in school, or if you're carrying a school bag, how much pressure is it putting on you? If you're sitting and working on the laptop all through, right? What effect will it have on our posture? So that book gives examples and at the same time tells you how you should sit and how you should take things forward. That is another book that I'm very. Another book, it's called Mind Your Mind. It's been written by Venugopal Acharya ji. He's an ISKCON guru. So he's spoken about how you can strengthen your mind and use it to your best advantage. And Preeti Pathak's books are also very good. They talk about happy living. The first book was called 25 Essentials to Happy Living. So it tells you as to how you can become a better person and make the most of the situation you want to. So, yeah.
Okay, so here we need to sign out because we are limited with the Insta time. But thank you so much for joining us live. And I think we'll have to do another session soon because we have lots of questions still pouring in. So we are going to bother you again with a lot more questions about how to get published.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, Shweta, and would love to come about again and take things forward. Thank you so much for having me over and being such a wonderful host.
Thank you. And guys, he's having another FB live session at 6 o'clock. So you all can join him there and also enjoy some more question answers with Suhail.
Thanks so much, Shweta, and looking forward to your next book really soon.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Bye. Take care. Cheers.
Bye.
Thank
See
you so
you.
much.
Cheers.